Assalamualaikum, salam hormat anda bersama saya Haris Ashraf Hasnan dalam Niaga Awani, di mana hari ini kita memberi tumpuan kepada apa yang dinyatakan oleh Bank Negara Malaysia semalam. Di mana Bank Negara Malaysia BNM mengumumkan kadar dasar semalaman OPR dinaikkan 25 mata asas, menjadikan kadarnya ketika ini adalah 2.25% dan kadar tertinggi dan terendah koridor bagi OPR turut dinaikkan masing-masing kepada 2.50% dan 2%. Perkara itu diputuskan Jawatankuasa Dasar Monetary MPC yang bermesyuarat selama 2 hari bermula Selasa. Dan untuk itu kita akan terus mendapatkan reaksi melihat kepada bagaimana kenaikan OPR ini akan memberi impak terutamanya kepada sektor hartanah. Jadi saya nak bersama dengan Datuk Tong. Datuk is the acting president of Rehda Malaysia. Datuk, thank you for being with us. First of all, your reaction towards the increment of the OPR, and what's the reality of property sector in Malaysia after the pandemic, Datuk?
Good morning, Haritz, and good morning to all your viewers. I think, the reality after the pandemic is still unfolding. During the lockdown, I think you see a boom in the food ordering, and you see a boom in online shopping. But however, I think with property, it's a different reality because people want to interact face-to-face and they want to get and feel and touch the real estate. So I believe now with the opening of the pandemic, things will change, and people who I suspect have taken a more wait-and-see sideline approach will now come back into the market to start looking for property. As far as the impact of the OPR rate, I think we have to take a bigger picture. This is happening globally. Interest rates are starting to trend up, and that's a sign of two things. One is a recovering economy, and the other thing is a concern for inflation. So in Malaysia, most of us have the opportunity to hedge against rising inflation in the long run through property purchases. So impact-wise, I think every time the OPR is announced, people may be a little bit concerned. But as they look at the medium to long term, they recognize the opportunity that property presents itself.
Datuk, when you said about the OPR rate that gave impact to the property sector, how is it actually give directly impact to the housing, especially in housing property sector?
Yeah, so as the OPR rate increases, your borrowing cost increases. But I think if this is done moderately, it's manageable because we're coming off a very low base. So what you find is that the cost of borrowing or financing a house is still very moderate versus the concerns for inflation and protecting your assets and your value of your currency.
Datuk, maybe your outlook towards the property sector by the end of second half this year?
Okay, so that one is always a tricky one to talk about. So rather than tell you my outlook, I'll tell you what Rehda Malaysia's outlook is. We do a half-annual survey, and the last time we did it was towards the end of the first quarter 2022, and understandably the first half of 2022 the outlook was quite optimistic, but the second half of 2022 the outlook is even more optimistic, and the reason being we see that the economy is opening up, so that creates opportunities for all kinds of businesses. I mean, you only have to look at how full restaurants are, or airline seats to certain destinations are also full, the fares are going up. I think with property, the gestation period is a little bit longer because it's a bigger commitment, but we anticipate in the next 6 months that things will go up. So I'm very optimistic. I think we will see that as well 2 weekends from now, the 15th to 17th of July. Together with KTKT, the Ministry of Housing, Rehda is hosting the Carnival Jom Beli Rumah in Mid-Valley. So, the first time we're having such a major exhibition after 2 years of lockdown, so we anticipate quite a good crowd there.
Datuk, maybe you can share initiatives that should be done by the government in order to make sure issues that raised just now are solved.
I think, to be fair, the government is doing its best in very tough global environment. But if you look at what we have done, we've been very prudent. OPR needs to go up as it's going up around the world. However, it's being raised at a very moderate level. There are some countries that are taking a very hard stand on it, which I think can crush an economy if they're not careful. And actually, Malaysia, if you look around the world, the last 2 years, real estate has boomed elsewhere. And Malaysia has lagged. So I think we will play catch up now. But in a way, it's good that we haven't boomed in the way that you've seen elsewhere, because then there's less concern for the government to push OPR too fast. So I think the government is looking at moderate, incremental, sustainable growth, and I think that's already good enough. And as long as we continue to stay this course, it will be good for the economy, for the housing industry, and I think for the rakyat in general as well.
All right. Okay, Datuk N. Tong, the acting president of Rehda Malaysia. Thank you so much, Datuk, for your feedback and your highlights in terms of the increment of the OPR announced by the BNM yesterday. Thank you so much.